Hey everyone, welcome to, another review day. My name is Mandi Hutchinson,
And I'm Ashley Gariepy.
and today we are going to be taking a look at the game Fort. Fort is designed by Rodiek, and art is by Ferrin, and it is published by Leader Games. So many things happening here. I'm excited. Ashley, are you excited?
I am so excited.
All right, so maybe we should get to it?
Yeah, let's take a look at how Fort is played.
Fort is a deck building game with a twist, in which each player acts as a kid trying to build the coolest fort where they can hang out with their friends, eat pizza, and play with toys. Doing all this kid stuff will score you points. The player with the most points at the end of the game wins. Fort begins with each player starting with a 10-card deck containing their two best friends, marked by a star, and 8 other kid cards. In the basic game, the 8 kid cards are drawn randomly, but in the advanced game, these cards are drafted. A game of Fort is played over a series of turns until the end game is triggered. A turn goes through 5 phases: cleanup, play, recruit, discard, and draw. When you take your turn, you're referred to as the leader. In the first phase, cleanup, any cards in your yard go face up to your discard pile. Of course, on your first turn, this phase is skipped. Then it's playtime. In the play phase, you play 1 card from your hand and can use one or both actions shown on the card. The top action on a card is known as the public action, whereas the bottom action is the private action. If an action shows an X followed by one of the 6 suits, you may play additional cards from your hand or lookout matching the suit to improve your action. It's important to note these added cards only improve the strength of the card you originally played, and cannot also be used for their own card actions. After the leader has resolved their card's actions, the other players have an opportunity to follow and perform the played card's public action. To follow the leader, an opponent must play a single card from their hand matching the suit of the leader's played card. Next is the recruit phase, where the leader must add a card to their deck. The card they choose can come from the face-up park display, from the face-down park deck, or can be recruited from another player's yard. Your new recruit then goes to your discard pile. Then comes the discard phase. Any cards you played go to your discard pile, but cards that still remain in your hand go face up to your yard, since you didn't play with these friends. I mean, if you won't play with them, why shouldn't they make other friends, right? These cards will remain in your yard until they are either recruited by another player or until the cleanup phase of your next turn. Luckily, your best friends remain loyal to you and won't ever ditch you for new friends. Instead, best friend cards get discarded, even if you didn't play them that turn. Finally, draw back up to 5 cards, and if your deck is empty, shuffle your discard pile. This is the only time you draw cards in Fort. The end of the game is triggered if a player has 25 or more points on the victory track, if a player reaches a Fort level of 5, or if the park deck is empty. The leader then completes their turn and players finish the round so that everyone has had an equal number of turns. Then add points to those on the victory track for your Fort level, as well as your made-up rule card and the macaroni sculpture if you have them. The player with the most points wins, proving they are the coolest kid in the neighborhood.
So, Mandi, what did you think of Fort?
Oh, okay. I don't want to give it all away too soon, but I don't care. I really liked Fort. It was so good. It was so good. And for many reasons we're going to talk about, but I'm going to let you go down that path before I just take this whole conversation over with how much I liked Fort. Okay, Ashley, what did you think about Fort?
I mean, I also really liked Fort. Within the first few minutes of us learning the game, so not even playing it, I fell in love with it. I love deck building games to begin with. Mandi, you're not much of a deck building fan, right?
No, not particularly. And they're hit or miss for me, and I feel I like them when they're combined with something else.
Gotcha.
But I don't know.
So I found that this one was not really your traditional deck building game, right? You are trying to build and optimize a deck of cards, but you're doing it in such a way that feels more like a heavy strategy game than it does a deck building game. Does that make sense?
No, it 100% makes sense. At first I thought, oh yeah, some kids playing in the playground, just throw some cards over here and some pizza and toys. It sounds simple. But then before we started taping this, I looked at the level of game, and they have this on BGG weighted as a 3 out of 5. And can I tell you, that's actually accurate.
Yeah,
There
I
is
would
a
agree.
lot more in this game than meets the eye, if you will. And I learned the hard way that you definitely want to be careful about what cards you're keeping, what cards you're releasing, because that really could come back and bite you.
Yeah, 100%. I find that there's you sometimes want to play a suboptimal turn simply so you can hang on to those cards that you know will be better for you in the long run, because you don't want the other people to snag them out from under you from your yard, right?
Exactly.
And I love how much player interaction is in this game. It's not like a vicious game where, you're attacking and whatnot. Like, if you put a card in your yard, it probably will be gone by your next turn, right? So that you're planning ahead for that. But it's so interactive, the way that the cards work and the way you can follow other players' actions, I really liked as well. What did you think of that aspect?
I really like that, because I had seen it. I mean, a lot of games do that. The one that really stood out to me was Keeper, which is, slightly different games, worker placement. But I did like that kind of follow action. I think there's another game that does that.
The Tiny Epic games.
Thank you. Tiny Epic Galaxy, I think, is another one that allows you to follow an action, or follow something along those lines, if I'm not mistaken. I like that concept, because now you're like, do I want to have enough cards in hand for my turn? Or, well, wait, I can get rid of this card, in quotes, by following this action, because it's a card that I will, in essence, get to keep later on. So I like the fact that you have to think about all these things where it's a benefit, but at the same time, it could hinder you elsewhere. So what's the best way to play it? I like that complexity with the cards.
Yeah, and I love the timing of it too. Like, because you may be trying to build up your fort, for instance, and then another player plays the card that would allow you to follow the fort action, but you're not ready to do it because you were hoping someone would, give you pizza before that. So then you would be able to upgrade your fort, right? And the timing of that is just so good. It just works so well with everything in the game. And it's so simple.
Yes.
Like, on your turn, you just play a card, right?
Right.
But the complexity of it comes from all these little intricacies that make up the little aspects of gameplay that I really love.
The components. At the time of recording this review, we had played the version made available to us on Tabletop Simulator. We have since received a physical copy of the game, and we wanted to say that the card quality has a plastic-esque feel, which means no rough corners on the cards with too much gameplay. The boards and wooden bits are also top-notch. The art in this game, it's really cute. I understand it's not going to be for everybody. I mean, did you like the art? I really liked the art. I thought it was cute.
I loved the art. I thought it was great. I thought it added an extra sort of thematic flair to the game.
Exactly. And if you're familiar with any other games that are under Leader, like Root or Vast or some of those other games, it had a similar vibe. It wasn't the same, but it had that kind of similar vibe. And the art, looking at it, I mean, it's kids playing the playground, eating pizza. You think, oh, it's going to be this really simple game. It's not. I mean, it's not super complex, but it isn't really simple. So the art kind of lends itself to making it seem that it is lighthearted in theme, yes, but in game there are some complexities a little bit in the actual gameplay. So, I mean, I liked it. I liked the art. I liked how it tied in. I liked the gameplay. I liked some of the little things like that track on the bottom, which I didn't really play very well, but you did.
Yeah, the fort is very important, I think. When we played all of the games that we played together, it seemed like that was one of the key elements that the winner sort of used to their advantage.
Yeah, so it's definitely something not to ignore.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't ignore the fort. If you can get to the top of that fort, even better for you. I mean, there are a lot of other ways to get points, but that one is a key one. This game kind of reminded me of, is it Race for the Galaxy? Now, nowhere near the symbology. That's not it. But there's a lot of iconography, and you need to know how certain things work together.
Yes. Yeah, the way they tie into each other. All the different aspects of the gameplay, the way that they tie into each other definitely has that more complex aspect to it, which is probably why it's a 3, right?
Right. Weight-wise, yeah, on BGG.
Did you find the iconography and the graphic design tricky? Because I thought it was very well done. I thought it was pretty clear. Once you had your little player aid and you figured out what was what, it wasn't too tricky when a new card came out to be able to decipher it almost immediately.
Yeah, I think the first time playing it, it threw me off a little bit because I was trying to figure everything out, and then it did become easier, except for the skateboard. I don't know why I thought it looked like a Band-Aid. It didn't.
The skateboard does look like a Band-Aid, 100%.
I needed to get in there, like, oh yeah, it's a skateboard. Maybe it's the color threw me off. But that's silly things, not a big deal. But no, I think after we got used to it with the player aid, yeah, it definitely made things easier to pick up. So, absolutely.
And I'll just add that I haven't played it, but this actually is a sort of re-implementation, reworking of one of Grant's earlier designs called SPQF. Mandi, have you played that one?
I have not. Have you played this one?
I haven't. But my understanding is that Fort is a little bit more of a streamlined version, and they've made some improvements and built upon the system that he built within SPQF.
Right. Okay, so that's good. So if people are familiar with that, then they will see the similarities just streamlined. So overall, I mean, if you haven't figured it out, I really like this game.
Yeah.
This is looking at the game, don't look and go, oh, I can play this with my kids. Well, not saying that you couldn't, but it's definitely on the slightly more complex side of it, so it would definitely be a work in progress if you were to play with kids. I just wouldn't play with them that are very young, so just bear that in mind, that the art kind of leads you towards easy gameplay, but I wouldn't say that it's necessarily easy.
Yeah, I would agree with you 100%. Also, I love the game too. It's shot up to one of my favorite games of the year thus far. Like, probably will end the year near the top as well. I'm not going to speak for you, but yeah, it was great.
Maybe we'll have to do at some point like a little top 10, listing of some games for the year. We'll see. I'm not throwing it out.
Mandy, you hate top 10 lists.
I know.
We'll do like these games were great 2020.
I like that. Then there's no rating at all. It's just these are the games. Is there anything else you wanted to add about Fort?
Nope. Other than that, it's wonderful.
It's wonderful, exactly. We can agree on that. So thank you, everyone, for watching, and we hope this helps you decide if you want to snag a copy of Fort, or at least try it out, because I believe it is going to be available on Tabletop Simulator publicly for people to try.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, do all the things here.
I know, I always forget that part. Like, subscribe, join, so you can see more of these lovely reviews. Thanks, Ashley, for the reminder.
My pleasure.
Thanks so much, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.